Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. If you walk into any faculty lounge in America, from the high-pressure charter schools of New York City to the rural public high schools of the Midwest, you're going to hear the same conversations. You'll hear about burnout. You'll hear about the crushing weight of administrative red tape. You'll hear teachers venting about broken copiers, standardized testing mandates that make no sense, and the struggle to pay the bills. But if you listen closely, you'll also hear the other side. You'll hear a math teacher gushing about the moment a struggling student finally got it. You'll hear a history teacher excited about a new curriculum they designed themselves. You'll hear the genuine passion that keeps people in this profession despite the odds. This dichotomy, the stuff that drives us crazy versus the stuff that drives us forward, is the heartbeat of the educational experience. And frankly, nobody explained this dynamic better than Frederick Herzberg. While Herzberg wasn't a classroom teacher, his two-factor theory, also known as the motivation hygiene theory, is arguably the most accurate framework we have for understanding why our schools are hemorrhaging talent and what we can actually do to fix it. It's easy to look at the teacher retention crisis and think the solution is just more money. Don't get me wrong, money matters. But if you think throwing cash at a toxic work environment is going to fix the soul-deep burnout educators are feeling, you're missing the forest for the trees. To truly get a handle on school culture, we have to look at motivation the way Herzberg did, by realizing that the things that make teachers miserable are not simply the opposite of the things that make them happy. They are two totally different ballgames. We are going to unpack Herzberg's theory with a level of detail that usually gets glossed over in professional development seminars. We're going to look at the hygiene factors that keep the ship from sinking and the motivators that actually get the crew to row. We're going to explore why so many administrators get this wrong and how applying this theory correctly could be a total game changer for the American education system. To really get what Herzberg was talking about, you have to unlearn a basic assumption most of us have. We tend to think that if you take away the things that make a teacher unhappy, they will automatically become happy. It seems logical, right? If I hate the flickering lights in my classroom and you fix the lights, I should be motivated. Herzberg says no. According to his research, the opposite of job dissatisfaction isn't job satisfaction, it's simply no dissatisfaction. Conversely, the opposite of job satisfaction isn't dissatisfaction, it's no satisfaction. It sounds like a riddle, but it's actually a profound insight into human psychology. Herzberg broke job factors down into two distinct buckets. 1. Hygiene factors, maintenance factors. These are the baseline requirements. They are extrinsic to the work itself. When these are bad, teachers are miserable. When these are good, teachers are neutral. They aren't screaming from the rooftops, they are just not complaining. These factors prevent pain but don't spark passion. 2. Motivators, growth factors. These are intrinsic to the job. They are about the actual act of teaching and growing as a professional. When these are present, you get high performance, creativity, and deep commitment. When they are absent, you don't necessarily get a rebellion, but you do get apathy. Think of it like your health. Hygiene factors are like basic sanitation and nutrition. If you don't wash your hands and you eat garbage, you get sick, dissatisfaction. But just because you wash your hands and eat a salad doesn't mean you're going to run a marathon. Motivation. To run a marathon, you need training, goals, and drive. In schools, we spend an agonizing amount of time trying to fix the hygiene factors while completely ignoring the motivators. We try to bribe teachers into engagement or threaten them into compliance. Herzberg called this KETA, kick in the ass. You can kick someone to get them to move, but the second you stop kicking, they stop moving. That's not motivation, that's just movement. True motivation comes from a generator inside the person, not a kick from the outside. Let's get real about the hygiene factors. In the context of American education, these are the hot-button issues that dominate union negotiations and school board meetings. They are absolutely critical, but remember, fixing them only gets you to zero. The salary question. Let's address the elephant in the room immediately. Money. In Herzberg's model, salary is a hygiene factor. This often confuses people because we assume money is the ultimate motivator. But think about it. If a teacher is underpaid and can't afford decent housing or is working a second job on the weekends just to make ends meet, they are going to be deeply dissatisfied. They will be stressed, resentful, and distracted. That is a massive negative. Now, imagine you bump that teacher's salary up to a solid, living wage. The stress dissipates. The resentment fades. They are no longer thinking about how to pay the electric bill while they are grading papers. But does that pay raise make the grading of papers inherently more fun? Does it make the lesson planning more intellectually stimulating? Not really. The impact of the raise wears off. It becomes the new normal. If the job itself is boring or the principal is a tyrant, the money won't make the teacher love the work. It just makes the misery more tolerable. This is why we see high-paying districts still struggling with turnover if the culture is toxic. You cannot pay someone enough to love a bad job. However, and this is huge, if you don't pay them enough, they won't stick around long enough to find out if they love the job. 2. Company policy and administration. This is the #1 killer of morale in schools today. Red tape. Herzberg identified company policy and administration as a major hygiene factor. In schools, this translates to the endless stream of compliance paperwork, the nonsensical mandates handed down from the district office, and the feeling that decisions are being made by people who haven't set foot in a classroom since the 90s. When policies are confusing, unfair, or obstruct the actual work of teaching, dissatisfaction skyrockets. Teachers want to teach. When they have to spend 3 hours documenting an intervention that they know isn't working just to check a box for a federal grant, that is poor hygiene. It breeds cynicism. Cleaning this up, streamlining paperwork, having clear and fair discipline policies, removes a rock from the teacher's shoe. It stops the limping. But again, a lack of paperwork isn't inspiring. It just clears the way for the real work to happen. 3. Supervision, the relationship with the boss. The saying goes, people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. In education, this is the principal effect. Herzberg separates the interpersonal relationship with the supervisor from the technical competence of the supervisor. Both are hygiene factors. Teachers need to feel that their principal has their back. If a principal is a micromanager, or plays favorites, or is technically incompetent, doesn't know how to run a schedule or manage a budget, the environment becomes toxic. We've all seen this play out. A school with a gotcha mentality during observations creates a culture of fear. Teachers hide in their classrooms. They stick to the script. They don't take risks. When the supervision is supportive and fair, that fear vanishes. But a nice principal isn't enough to make a teacher work late to perfect a lesson plan. That drive has to come from elsewhere. The principal's job, in Herzberg's view, is to ensure they aren't the cause of unhappiness. 5. Interpersonal relations. Finally, we have the staff culture, the relationships with peers. Teaching can be an incredibly isolating profession. You are the only adult in the room for hours on end. If the faculty lounge is a snake pit of gossip and cliques, or if there is zero collaboration, it drains your energy. 4. Working conditions. Have you ever tried to teach a complex concept to 30 teenagers in a room with no air conditioning when it's 90 degrees out? Or in a portable classroom with a leaky roof? Working conditions are the physical and environmental realities of the job. In American schools, the disparity here is heartbreaking. We have schools with state-of-the-art STEM labs and schools with textbooks from the Cold War era. When working conditions are poor, it feels like a lack of respect. It signals to the teacher, we don't value you enough to give you the tools you need. It is a massive demotivator or dissatisfier. Fixing the AC, providing laptops, and ensuring the building is safe are baseline requirements. You don't get a gold star for providing a safe workplace. That's the minimum entry fee for running a school. A healthy staff culture where colleagues share resources and cover for each other prevents dissatisfaction. It makes the day-to-day bearable. But having a work bestie doesn't necessarily mean you are growing as a professional. It just means you have someone to vent to.